What children's movie is actually very creepy, unsettling? James and the Giant Peach. Roald Dahl definitely supplies some nightmare fuel. The boat scene in Willy Wonka had me poop in my PJs as a kid. I'm surprised no one has mentioned the Polar Express yet. Everything, from the animation to that mysterious hobo, gave me the chills that I can still never explain. I was waiting for this answer actually. That vacant realistic expression on their faces before they utter their lines. Especially the conductor. Plus whisking away children on a train to the North Pole sounds like hypnotic kidnapping to me. I mean, that movie can pass as one long episode of The Twilight Zone. Like a long, humorless, musicless, no sleep, Shrek visual episode of The Twilight Zone. That movie Coraliner, however, is spelled. My niece was watching it when I visited for Christmas. And I was like, what the actual fuck is this? Monster House is actually pretty scary. Also Edward Scissorhands, not necessarily a kid movie, but I swear it only has a PG rating in 4. What goes on if it should be at least a 12? It terrified me. Interesting artifact of movie history. There was never a PG-13 until later. So a lot of PG movies up until the 90s or so. Could be anywhere from not quite Barney to not quite Deadpool. I came here to say Monster House. First the kid thinks the old man had a heart attack because of him. That he watched him die. Then later when they think he murdered his wife because she was literally entombed in concrete in the basement. Oh, no. She just fell and died and was covered in concrete during construction. Just left her body there. Kept on building. Great. My 5-year-old son thinks it's hilarious and I'm concerned. Brave little toaster is pure nightmare fuel. After watching that as a kid, I anthropomorphized all my household tools, and would cry when I ran over the vacuum cord. I would also thank my toaster for toasting. Greater than I would also thank my toaster for toasting. The Omnissiah smiles upon you. When the machines rise, you may be spared. Return to Oz is genuinely unsettling. Replacing Toto the dog with a chicken was pure genius. The flying bed scene was also top-tier weird. All dogs go to heaven. That movie fucked with me. Knowing about Judith Barcy's death only makes it worse. Her case is truly tragic and unsettling. Pinocchio. The donkey scene. I'd rather watch Requiem for a Dream than see that creepy shit again. The never-ending story. This concept itself is quite scary. But what makes this film all the more eerie and disturbing are the fantastical and strange creatures Bastian encounters on his endeavors to save the dying Fantasia. Holy shit, I remember this. Is this where that horse drowned in mud or something? That scene was fucking sad. Yep. And the giant turtle. The scary black wolf. The big white dragon with a gross looking back. The weird palace. ATRAYUUUUU. That's the one. The Secret of NIMH. Charlie, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Grandpa Joe was the most sadistic fictional character ever created. Grandpa Joe is widely regarded as one of the greatest and most iconic villains in cinematic history, because he pretended to be a bedridden invalid until there was free chocolate to be had, and only then, did he find the strength to get up and dance like the evil shitbag sorcerer he actually was. Our Grandpa Joe hate this. I've heard that the other kids are seen at the end of the Burton version, but I'm convinced that the Gene Wilder Willy Wonka let all of those kids die. The boat scene was a fucking fever dream. Chitty chitty bang bang. And not just the child catcher. Movie's fucking weird. Watership Down. I also found that one with Bowie in it very creepy. Labyrinth. You remind me of the Babe. What Babe? The Babe with the power. What power? The power of voodoo. The witches. Hey, they have purple eyes, stub feet, walk around all day in public wearing fake faces to hide how truly hideous they are, and live for the sole purpose of catching children and doing terrible things to them. Sure, put them in a kids movie. What's not to love? I'm sure that won't make generations of children suspicious of strange old women. Not at all. Dash 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 dash. Asterisk asterisk edit. Asterisk asterisk fake faces. Not face faces. Oh, the stub feet. And the head, which when she peels off her skin is horrendous. How did she hide that hump? I had nightmares about that girl being trapped in the painting alone and slowly getting older until she disappeared. The Dark Crystal. It's creepy as hell. The podlings getting their life force sucked out is still so horrifying to me. Courage the Cowardly Dog. It's a TV series, but it freaked me out when I was younger. Asterisk return the slap or suffer my curse. Asterisk. E.T. Jesus, fuck that movie. It's like a ballsack became giant and alive. The scene with all the doctors was scary as hell. I was so scared of it as a kid. Coraline. That movie messed my childhood up. The fact that this movie is listed a few times as being in people's childhood is making me feel so very old. We are 4 years away from a presidential election where first-time voters were too young to remember the '08 recession. I always thought Gremlins was a kid's movie cause I grew up watching it and loved it. However, when I showed it to my adult girlfriend, she was horrified. In particular by the scene where Phoebe Cates recounts her family finding her dad's decomposing body in the chimney dressed as Santa. I love the movie Ferngully, but it was unsettling as hell when I was a kid. Tim Curry makes a great villain, though. I'm with you on that. It was very disturbing. For me though, I think it was the start of me being more conscious of the environment. So that's good. 9. It's a beautifully animated, moving narrative, but the world it's set in is super fucked. No spoilers, but it's definitely worth a look. Did anyone ever watch that TV short Rikki Tikki Tavi? I remember the cobra being scary as hell. Yep, the cobra's name was Nag. That whole cartoon series was pretty intense. The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The book is fucked up and very rapey. But of course Disney doesn't give a fuck. This Monseigneur Claude Frollo fricking singing about wanting to have sex with a gypsy to a statue of the Virgin Mary. I mean, what the fuck? Disney. He's not singing about wanting to have sex with her. He's pleading with the Virgin Mary to strip him of his lust for her, which is sinful, and then asks for forgiveness for it before realizing that he is too weak to resist the devil's temptation, and either she will choose him or burn for being a temptress. And then he asks God for mercy on both their souls. I have never understood why Disney thought it would be a good idea to adapt it in animation. While I concede I've never read the original, I have seen the play Notre Dame de Paris, which is also based on the book. I wasn't all that impressed, though it did have a few good songs. Then again, Disney's version had a few good ones as well. Disney actually turned it into a musical a few years back. It incorporates more of the book, so it's definitely darker than the movie, but not to the extent of the book. It never reached Broadway though. Claymation in general is unsettling. Wallace and Gromit. Coraline. Nightmare Before Christmas. I understand people put a lot of work into them, but I can't stand watching them. Coraline and The Nightmare Before Christmas are just stop-motion films, no clay involved. And I hate being pedantic, but I can't help but educate people on this. Will Vinton trademarked the term claymation in 1978, but since then it's become a genericized term for clay stop-motion animation. Like calling all adhesive bandages band-aids. Cool fact that I'm not going to remember. Bob the Builder. Fox and the Hound. I'm still unsettled, and I was like 6 at the time when I went to my aunt's to sleep over and she put this shit on. I couldn't stop crying and my parents had to pick me up. I now have to check doesthedogdy.com before watching any movie. I still can't watch Disney's Hunchback or Notre Dame without feeling extremely uncomfortable. The rotten fruit throwing scene always bothers me, and Frollo is the creep of creeps. Nothing like a movie where the antagonist sings about wanting to bone this hot chick or burn her to death for not boning. Hi monsieur. Hellfire is the ultimate nice guy anthem. Labyrinth. I saw it for the first time when I was an 11-year-old girl, and by the end credits I was a woman. The movie Mars Needs Moms is about how life is miserable and loveless if you don't have a mom. Which is pretty fucked up. Geez, what a horrible thing for children to watch. Exclamation mark. Not all kids have moms, obviously. All kids on Mars are raised by nanny bots, so it also shits on working moms who utilize child care. Big. When I watched it, I was expecting the movie to be about the kid and his wacky shenanigans in a toy store. But most of it is just him having sex with an adult woman. Dumbo. Recently rewatched it, and there is so much more cruelty than I remember. It's certainly trippier than I remember, and to top it off, it is really quite racist. Pink elephants. All dogs go to heaven. Casper, Hocus Pocus. Casper giving up his second chance of life, that broke me. What do you find scary about Hocus Pocus? It was probably my favorite movie as a child. I could be wrong, but don't the witches kidnap children and absorb their soul to look younger? Don't they also get hung by the neck in the intro of the film? Pretty damn dark for a kid's movie if you ask me, lol. I think I just loved the witches so much that I didn't find them scary, haha. The Last Unicorn, where the wizard killed all the unicorns but one who was transformed into a naked cartoon girl that saves the dead unicorns or something. BC, they were pushed into the sea. The wizard actually saved the last unicorn by turning her into a naked anime girl. It's an evil king who pushes the unicorns into the sea. With the Red Bull's help, of course. I loved this movie as a kid. Scrolled all the way until I found this. The boob tree freaked me out too. Why was I watching that at 7? I've said this before and I'll say it again, Black Beauty. I was crying for the horses whilst my mum was sniffing in the kitchen over Princess Diana. Not really a kid's movie, but it is very easily mistaken for one by the unaware. Grave of the Fireflies. Especially for those looking for more films since being exposed to Spirited Away. The Pagemaster. Never-ending story, because it ends. Introducing the concept of the nothing, and the issue of how anything can be nothing, was horrifying. The scene with the Sphinxes was terrifying. The scene with Ryu was unbelievably upsetting. I know that if I start to think about it now I will cry. Really great films though. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, both the original and the 2005 one. Not a movie, but Are You Afraid of the Dark terrified me when I was little. I'm surprised no one has mentioned the live-action movies for The Grinch and Cat in the Hat. As much as I respect Jim Carrey and Mike Myers as actors, I still don't see how the respective roles they played for those movies, or just the movies themselves, are anywhere child-friendly. My wife suggested Cat in the Hat to watch with my daughter. Neither of them had seen it, but I had. It was impressive to see how often my wife looked over at me with her jaw on the floor. My daughter didn't really seem to care for the movie at all. An American Tail with Fievel. My parents took me to see it in the theater and I was traumatized that he was a kid and both his parents died. I hated the rest of the movie. I still won't watch it. Well, if you want a bit of closure, asterisk spoilers. Asterisk, none of his family dies. I know it's a TV series, but that one episode of Adventure Time where the Ice King's heart came out or something. His name was Ricardio. That freaked me out when I was younger. Yeah, a great deal of Adventure Time is very disturbing. I absolutely love that show, but some of it is so messed up. Most of the episodes, I just killed someone and that's kind of messed up. The alternate reality stuff with Finn and the mutagenic bomb. Root beer guy. Almost everything PB does is ethically questionable at best. It just goes on. Most have a deep meaning though and are very thought-provoking. E.g. BMOE and Amoy taking about what it means to grow up. Even just the cheater answer of Lemongrab, easily the most unsettling character I can think of. The 70s animated rendition of The Hobbit. Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. Fuck that movie. The Child Catcher gave me nightmares for years. Why did I not see Bridge to Terabithia here? Or the animated movie about that monster house where the kids go there at Halloween and the house is alive, and spoilers, the house is literally the dead spouse of the old dude living there. I think Bridge to Terabithia is a good emotional kids movie. Tragedy happens to kids as well. Could be relatable to a kid in a not so well off family or have suffered a loss. Goddamn if it isn't sad though. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.